Could you even count how many employees have been saved over the course of your career and my career at a client because of a quick connect?
And here we go again, against the odds. It doesn't take a genius. Here are Mark and Mike.
Ramsey!
Marshall, what a pleasure to see you. Can I tell you about a common thing that happens to me?
Please, because nothing about your life is common.
Well,
So
this
please.
one is. This
Okay.
one is for coaching and consulting types like us. Have you ever walked a client through a little bit of a formal coaching system and said, "Hey, what if you did this with your people?" To have them say to you, "Oh, we're always coaching." Does that ever happen to you?
Well, they either use that phrase or they modify one word and they say, "We talk all the time."
Right.
And you have to admit, I know you talk all the time.
No doubt about it.
Yeah. So what is the nature of those conversations?
I think that is a phenomenal question. And you pointed out to me some wonderful work that you and I both love from the Gallup organization.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful text, which I promise you, it's like right here behind me in my chair on the shelf, but I can't reach it because my chair is so tucked tight. But you've got it. It's called
Yes.
It's the Manager.
See how I'm making it glitter right there?
Oh, that's
Sparkling.
lovely, Mike.
That,
You know what? I might even add a sound effect for you when we're in post-production. So
that's going to be so cool. Yeah. So we all know the Gallup organization from the polling, right? Everybody's, a
Yep.
Gallup poll says this.
Yep.
So one of the cool things that the Gallup organization did, they went out and surveyed a boatload of very successful companies, and they tried to find out, okay, what is the common theme through all those? And they wrote this book. It's amazing. It's got to be 400 pages or something.
Yeah.
And then they made a terrible strategic marketing error. They gave away the findings of all this research in the title. What does it take to be a successful organization? And the book is titled "It's the Manager." So now you don't even have to read the book. You just go, oh, yeah. So all these companies had in common that were successful were incredibly strong, incredibly engaging middle management.
So something you and I were talking about beforehand is, how most of the findings you and I have been training and coaching on for a long time. Like it's like, oh, it's nice to know that there's data behind that. I remember early on when I was doing automotive coaching, I have a father-in-law who's just a great guy, very smart, was a plant engineer, was a purchaser for a big firm that you know. I won't say their name, but he can be sort of that engineer crustiness that makes engineers just awesome. That sort of way of talking. And I remember sort of going over some process issue at a dealership. I said, I kind of think, it's all these steps of the process and there's feedback loops and issues here and there with handoffs between departments. But I kind of think that it's a management problem. And he said, every problem is a management problem.
Nice.
Sort of where Gallup came to.
Yeah. So if it's working, it's the manager. If it's not working, it's the manager.
That's right.
Man,
it's tough.
Yeah, it's tough to be the manager.
But one of the things about a manager is that the manager has the ability to have conversations, right? To guide the conversation. So you've pointed out there's sort of 5 conversations you ought to be having, and I think I'm going to turn it over to you and let you go through this list. But I just want to highlight the fact that my clients over the years who have said, we're always talking, we're always coaching. Ask yourself, if you're one of those people, dear listeners, both of you, if you're one of those people who says, we're always coaching, I challenge you to put your coaching into one of these 5 categories that Mike's about to cover, because the idea is that you need all 5, right? And you need them at different times in different ways and different frequencies, but all 5 of these are valuable. And so if you're always coaching, which of these are you perhaps missing because your set doesn't include that. So I wanted to say that piece and let you take us to the races, Mike.
Oh, well said. So yeah, in keeping with the rule of 3 that people can only remember 3 things, we give you 5. Because you deserve 2 extra thingies. So, we're givers, incredible givers. So the 5 conversations that drive performance, I'll list them real quick and then we'll dive back into them. So the first one that they make note of is the role and relationship orientation. The get to know you and get to know our expectations conversations.
Yep.
There's the quick connect. These kind of, what may seem impromptu, very frequent, could be a daily type of activity where we're just connecting on kind of shallow and or superficial things. There's the check-in, which could be a weekly, maybe even a monthly thing, depending on what's how much change you got going on. Review, what's working, what's not working, what could we be doing different. There's developmental coaching. And so differentiating between the check-in where we're checking progress, see how you're doing, versus what do we need to learn next? What's the teaching opportunity? What skills, things that you don't have that would make you better. And then there's progress reviews. So yeah, I was in a session earlier today, and we're recording this in the July timeframe, and I looked at 30 managers and said, it's July, it would be a good time for a mid-year review. And yeah, they were like, that's a good idea. Pins were waving. They were writing down, it's 6 months worth of data. Let's, we're halfway through the year. What worked, what didn't work? Are we on track to meet our yearly goals, things like that? And so there was just this idea of just a progress review. It was very insightful. So let's talk quickly about these 5 different conversations, but the value of that. So when you think about the clarity and alignment, we talked in our previous podcast about clarity is kindness. So the nicest thing you can do is let them have an understanding of their roles, what's expected. I ran in that not too long ago where people weren't exactly sure what they were supposed to and not supposed to be doing. And other managers had figured out that they weren't exactly sure what they were supposed to be doing. So the other managers were giving them their work. So you don't know what you're supposed to and not supposed to be doing. No. Well, I'm pretty sure you're supposed to be doing this TPS report. and at some point it became so much, they were like, wait a minute.
This doesn't seem to add up.
I seem to be doing a lot of other people's work. And I don't know if I'm supposed to or not. So clarity and alignment, continuous engagement. And the book does a great example, talks about who you should be coaching. And we always get in a fight with managers over this. So the book says that the great organizations, managers spend 50% of their time coaching the top performers.
The bright spots.
What? I just let them guys run. I let my thoroughbreds run. My horses are just getting her done. They don't need me up until the point they submit their 2-week notice.
That's right.
And you go, I had no idea nothing was wrong. Exactly. You haven't talked to me in 2 months.
That's
and
right.
So continuous engagement, whether they're top performers or they're new or wherever they're at in the scale of performance, there needs to be engagement. It should be timely support. Going back to that quote, I had no idea anything was wrong. Well, if we were continually checking in, checking progress, then we would be able to surface these things before they became mission critical issues. Growth and development, which we probably, since this polling was done, probably need to move that to the top. These young people, they don't expect to start at the top, but they expect that you have a path for their growth and development.
That's a really good point. That's going to be a deal breaker for some folks.
Oh yeah. People, if they're not learning, they're not growing, they don't feel like you're investing in them. These young people just leave. They just pack up and go and don't think a thing about it because they know there's somebody else out there, or their hope is that somebody else out there will have a path for their growth and development. And then the one that we think most frequently when we think of coaching conversations is performance tracking, where where are we in relationship to the goals? We're ahead, behind, anything like that. So yeah, when you think of the value of this, man, there's a lot of value here.
And a lot of different tasks that you're trying to accomplish, right? A lot of end goals that you're trying to reach. And so you need different tools in your tool belt to do that. These conversations occur in different ways at different times, as you pointed out. So I want to ask you this. I didn't that this is one of my curveballs, but you always handle curveballs really well. So I'll just throw this out here. Wouldn't it be okay to just combine a couple of these? Wouldn't it be okay to just do a couple at the same time? Just knock two birds with one stone with one of these conversations. Why five? Why not three, like you said?
Yeah, we can distill this down. So I think there is one of the things here is the frequency. So yeah, combining all these into one, if I'm gonna do a quick connect, that should be a daily thing. It should be, as the name implies, quick. In a quick connect, it's going to be very hard for me to do any substantial developmental training.
Okay.
And so yeah, it's not a relationship. And then every one of my quick connects turns into let's say a developmental coaching or a progress review. Well, now I'm going to start hiding from you as the employee. I can't spend 45 minutes every day with a combo quick connect and progress review.
Yeah.
I'll never make any progress spending that much time with you. And so, yeah, as soon as I see you, I'm going to duck out because I know that this is going to be a long conversation. And so creating expectations around the different conversations, including the frequency and the amount of time, I think allows you to do all of them, and then allows the expectation for the employee. They know what the conversation is going to be about. They can prepare for that conversation, so we're not ambush coaching them, and we'll have a much more meaningful conversation when the topic, the agenda, the reason for the meeting is stated up front.
Yeah, and you make a really good point there about how the agenda for the conversation, even if it's a very informal conversation, is going to be there. You know it's coming. And if you know it's coming, right, all year long, the frequency and rhythm of these conversations happening, when you do get to the progress review, and it's time for your, let's call it the annual review. Maybe that's not how you do it, but there will be no, anybody just absolutely sideways surprised that, oh my gosh, had no idea I was doing poorly in your eyes. I was doing all this good work. There's been a regular cadence of conversations leading up to that, different times, different purposes, but all the way along, I know that you know that I know, and it's time to talk about development. It's time to talk about the gap that I could be overcoming to get me to the next level. It's a beautiful thing.
Well, yeah, the progress review should set up the developmental coaching opportunity.
That's right.
And yeah, we go back to, like we said in our last podcast, clarity is kindness.
Yep.
If I show up as the team member for our meeting expecting bonuses, praise, and rewards, and you hit me with, I'm going to put you on a 30-day write-up, until things, in hopes that things get better. Wow. That is a deficiency.
Shame on us.
Yeah, deficiency in the behavior of the manager, not the team member.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I have seen that play out too, where they're pretty surprised, and it doesn't have to mean the end of the career for this person within your organization, but I mean, they're pay now or pay later. If that meeting where you're finally bringing up to them the hard stuff, like going back to our last episode, if you're finally the DQ judge at that last moment, and it's been, months and months of behavior that have led to this, or performance that have led to this, boy, it's going to be ugly. You're going to be ripping off the Band-Aid and dealing with what's underneath. But if you're regularly having these conversations, yeah, it takes time. Yeah, sometimes they're uncomfortable to a milder degree. You'll never have to deal with that nuclear option at the end that just gets so ugly. But you're going to have to invest the time. You're going to have to invest regularly in your people.
Yep. For the aging boomers in the crowd, there was this company called STP, and I believe their promotion was, "You can pay me now, or you can pay me later." It's up to you, right? And we talk about this with we work a lot in automotive. You can do your regular oil changes,
Yep.
maintain your car, have it regularly inspected,
Yep.
or once every 2 years, we can replace the engine.
Yep. 100%.
Your choice.
Yep.
Right. One of them is wildly more expensive than the other. So yeah, I can invest a little bit of time in ongoing maintenance, or I can have a catastrophic engine failure. In this case, I can invest some ongoing maintenance, some ongoing conversations, discussions with my people, or I can replace them at the point that they don't meet expectations, or they don't feel like they're valued, appreciated, and heard, and they leave.
And to be clear, if you have turnover, you need to be listening to this episode and taking it very seriously, because this is part of the issue. It is absolutely part of the issue. I don't care what the situation, but if you're regularly dealing with turnover, one of these 5 conversations at least is getting missed.
Oh yeah, definitely. So a little deeper into them, the first one that they talk about, role and relationship orientation. And so I think the key here is the role orientation, and then ultimately the first relationship building opportunity, but that the relationship opportunity can continue to build afterwards. And it's interesting, we start all our workshops, if we're going through our coaching and leadership workshop series, the first workshop is all around, we literally role play with managers how to get to know their people, both personally and professionally. What are their life goals, career goals, things like that. And so we practice this right out of the gate, and all of that based upon the quote from, I believe it's Theodore Roosevelt, who said, "People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care."
Yeah.
And so
there has to be something there.
Yeah, the first thing I have to do is get to know people, and there's 2 components, right? Relationship and role. And the other is I have to be very clear on, here's the expectations for the job, the position, or the change in the role that has just been made.
Yeah, and again, that's clarity either way, right? If you're brand new to the organization, or if you're changing roles, you're going to need some clarity right off the bat on how things are going to be different from what you previously went through. I think we've talked about on the podcast before, Horst Schulze, the president or CEO of Ritz-Carlton when it made its big growth in the 80s. He was the one who personally did the training of the initial, hires at the first, I think, 30 or so Ritz-Carlton locations. I mean, he knew what he was doing, and he would show up in a 3-piece suit and start talking to folks who were, lower on the socioeconomic levels, and they were going to be maids and so on. And he would say, "You are ladies and gentlemen. You're going to be serving ladies and gentlemen, but you are ladies and gentlemen." Well, that was a completely different mindset on what the role was. And he always called it a significant emotional event. He said adults don't change their behavior unless there's a significant emotional event. So this role in relationship orientation might be, even if you're starting a new role within the organization, if you've been promoted or what have you, and you're needing to have that conversation with the person who's being promoted. Maybe this is a significant emotional event, right? Maybe this is a conversation where there's a little bit more emotion behind it. Positive emotion, okay? Like, I'm not saying, that this is a negative experience. It's just that this needs to be kind of special. This is a rare thing. We don't get to do this kind of a conversation often, and let's do it in a way where we get a lot of clarity for you on what you're about to be doing, and you're very aligned to what we're about here.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, that's perfect. Yeah, and what is it? It might have been that Carnegie guy said, "You can have everything you want in life if you help the people around you get what they want."
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the first step to that would be knowing what they want.
That's right.
What are their career goals, their family goals, their their workplace? How do they define success?
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, yeah. If I know those things and I can help them get there, there's a lot better chance that they will help you, get to your department goals, your organizational goals.
Love it. Love it. Huge
So,
engagement. Yeah.
so the next one is the quick connect, which I mean, the title is perfect. Quick connect, quick connect. Yeah, I mean, what? Yeah, brief, informal conversations. That maintain rapport, connection between the manager and the team member. And it's been interesting over the years. We've had managers who when we've talked to them about this, have made this a part of their day, and they're always amazed at the incredibly positive difference this makes.
Yep.
They make a conscious effort to get out and just check in with everybody, quick connect with everybody, starting the day or middle of the day or whenever, and they come back with wonderful stories. They come back with people thanking them for checking up, for seeing how they're doing. The power of this goes so far beyond the investment in this. It's really hard to overstate.
Well, it's we've had an episode about Genji Gabutsu, the idea of it's really MBWA, management by walking around.
Mm-hmm.
We've done this for a long time. It works.
Well, and you might find with it occasionally your quick connect turns into a check-in.
Absolutely.
Where there's I'm just, how you doing? Not good.
Yep.
like the supplier didn't show up with this and this guy didn't do that, and I've got two guys that, it's like, okay, this is, but the reality is most of the time it's going to go good. When it doesn't go well, the perfect thing to happen is that you were available, you were there, you asked how it was going, you got the real stuff, and we solved that problem, we solved those obstacles, and we got back to production again, we got to performance again, we got back into a rhythm again. So yeah, the quick connect can change into something else, but the majority of time it's just the right thing to do to make sure that your people feel valued, heard, and appreciated.
Yeah, I think it's regular relationship building for sure. It is the connect, and the fact that it's quick is great. But if you want to be mercenary about it, sometimes it's that you quickly find out about something that you need to deal with right away. And I mean, could you even count how many employees have been saved over the course of your career and my career at a client because of a quick connect? It turns out I was kind of about to put in my 2 weeks notice, or I am putting in my 2 weeks notice, and the boss man gets it just in the nick of time, and is able to go deal with it. Right? It morphs, like you say, into something else, but you wouldn't get a chance to be that responsive if you weren't in the moment, and that's what a quick connect is in the moment.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And it can look impromptu, it can look informal, but there's no reason that a manager can't be deliberate and intentional about doing them.
That's right.
I always think of Chick-fil-A, and they have what they call table touches. Table touches are a specific role function for the manager at the Chick-fil-A. And table touches, it better as some guy just walked by the table, stopped, and asked if he could refill my drink. Ask how my chicken sandwich was. And it felt natural. It felt, impromptu, informal, and stuff like that. But lo and behold, they know at set points in time on a very consistent basis, right? They know how long it takes each diner to eat, and they know how long they can go in between table touches. And so it looks natural, it feels natural, but it makes everybody feel valued and appreciated.
Yeah, and I don't think that you have to be. I mean, I know we need to get to the next one, but the fact that you are doing this, shall I say, formally, intentionally, and everybody knows, at 10 and 2, the boss is going to walk through the department and check in with everybody. trust me, that's not fake, right? You really are checking in with them. It doesn't need to feel artificial, or you don't need to be embarrassed by the fact that you're doing this. You are intentionally wanting to make sure you look everybody in the eye and check in with them. That's a good thing to do, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, the sincerity is in the check-in. The fact that it's scheduled doesn't make any less sincere.
That's right.
It just means that you do it on a more consistent basis.
You care enough about supporting them.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah.
All
To
right,
make it
so
a part of your routine. So next you got the check-in. The check-in could be 10 to 30 minutes. So this could be a weekly type of thing, depending on how much change is in your organization. So it's a little more structured than a quick connect. Focuses on projects, tasks, goals. We call this tactical coaching sometimes, where we're talking about
short-term
things
stuff
that are in the short term. I got this customer, this car, this opportunity. What's going on with that? What can how can I support you with it? Short term, how's our week looking? Things like that. So the opportunity to have these problem solving, regular feedback, alignment, motivation meetings that are a little more involved than a check-in, and these absolutely can be scheduled. Where we both have it on our calendar that every Thursday, every Friday, at 9 o'clock, we're gonna get together, look at some numbers, talk about what's working, what's not working, and how what else do you need, and have that conversation.
Yeah, it's sort of like I know there's a guaranteed forum for when we're going to sit down and go over where we're at and have that opportunity to get some help.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it can be a time management tool. Instead of people just popping in when you're least prepared to have the conversation, because they never show up when you have nothing going on, then they plan their conversations with, I know I'm going to see them Thursday, I'll just wait until then.
Right.
And so now you've gained back that time to talk about it when you're ready and they're ready both to have this conversation.
Yeah. Office hours almost.
Yeah. Very, very professor collegial kind of thing.
Right.
All right. So the next one, developmental coaching, it could be a once a month opportunity. It could be, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, depending on what, the complexity of what it is that we're trying to learn. So it's all about growth, skill enhancement, retention, motivation again. So these are, in the course of our check-ins, the course of our progress review, we've identified gaps, skill gaps, knowledge gaps, and this is our chance to fill those. Or maybe we've learned a new way to do something and we want to plus that up and we want to share that with you, maybe role play, practice, and figure out how do we incorporate this idea into whatever it is that's going on in your professional development.
So a word about this, you have already pointed out how clear Gen Z is on wanting to develop. And another thing that's happening right now is so many people are polarized, and we're frayed at the edges. We're, emotionally, we have no reserves. And so when somebody has a corrective conversation with us, it doesn't go well. So both of those things are happening in the workforce right now. People don't know how to talk to each other about things that are a little bit critical, and people want to grow. So the solution is to do what this podcast is telling you to do and make it a regular occurrence, right? If people know that everybody here is expected to develop and everybody here gets the privilege of a coaching conversation on a regular basis to grow, now it's not weird anymore. Now we're just having conversations like everybody here. I'm not being singled out. I'm not, somehow deficient in a way that makes me unworthy to be a part of the organization, or whatever it is that spins up in people's heads when they start to go a little south in the middle of a corrective conversation. Now it's just a regular coaching conversation where we're expecting to talk about the gaps and what can we do to get past that gap? What's getting in the way?
Oh yeah. So many times we hear, right, the organization doesn't do anything like that, and then they call somebody in for that. The person immediately assumes it's a remedial punishment.
That's right.
I'm not getting my numbers, so they're making me go to this thing.
Yep.
So they come in with an attitude that's not conducive to learning.
Yep.
And it's just not going to go well. But if we do it consistently, When things are great, we have these developmental coaching conversations. And when things are going bad, we have these developmental coaching conversations. It's what we do here. We always try to grow no matter what the circumstances are.
Even those top performers are getting
Yep.
these conversations. In fact,
Oh,
that's who we're supposed to be spending most of our time on.
yeah. And sometimes they're helping us lead them,
That's right.
which is a wonderful form of recognition, is to ask your top performers to share in the developmental coaching meetings what are you doing? How are you making this happen? Oh,
Spot
yeah,
on.
here's what I figured out. Man, that's
Spot on.
fantastic. All right, fifth and final one, our progress reviews. This could be quarterly, like we just talked about, mid-year review, could be the
Yep.
annual performance review, things like that. So now we've got data, we've got lots of data, and we can do a thorough evaluation of the performance using that data. Opportunity for recognition. Woo,
Yeah.
personal best.
Yep.
Nice. Fist bump. And so the opportunity to look at those new benchmarks, new accomplishments, recognize those, set some goals. All right, so this is what happened in the first quarter. What we're looking at the second quarter. This is what happened in 2023. What are we looking at in 2024? And then now you start to think about, especially you as the manager, you start to think about, okay, if this person is going to hit this increased goal, what are the skills that they're going to need in order to get there? And do they have all the skills? Is there a need to go circle back? Does this inform the topics in our developmental coaching conversations?
Yeah. And, again, that could be something that is a moment of excitement, right? We're mapping out like, hey, you're going to be going for gold certification this year. That's the next step for you. So, all right, let's start wargaming right now, this year, the second half of the year, whatever. Here are the things that you'll need to be getting on your calendar, the things you'll need to be doing, the things you'll need to be changing in your behavior so that you can do that, time management and so on. So again, so often you hear about a business owner who says, all right, you hit that number. Great. Now we're going to increase the number. That's your new target. And that's the conversation, right? Like they just give them a higher number and that's all they have. And people don't often, they're a little demoralized by that, right? So what if instead this is a phenomenal review of where you've come, and oh my gosh, now it's time for you to grow further in your progress with us, your career with us, whatever. And here are the things that are coming, and so you could get excited about it instead of having it be a demoralizer.
Oh, yeah. Well, because you've had the first conversation, the relationship
Uh-huh.
connection conversation,
Yep.
what's important to them. So this goal aligns with your goal of you and your wife someday getting a house.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Spot
yeah,
on.
you get to this next level. This is how this ties into what I know that is a priority for you. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right. That makes more sense now.
And in case we have anybody listening who's like, I'm not a Superman, there's no way I'm going to remember that he wants to buy a house. And yeah, we know that. But again, you care enough to be intentional with your people, right? So maybe you've got some notes that you captured in that first meeting when you did your orientation, and you maybe pull it out periodically and say, how are we doing on our people's targets of what they're personally trying to hit and professionally trying to hit. You could just be intentional about this. And I think that's maybe the point, is do these conversations intentionally instead of just, yeah, we do that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. So you asked, though, a wonderful question at the beginning of all this. You said, all right, so you're talking with your people all the time. We do coaching constantly. So now it's up to the listener, both of you, to take a look at this and go, all right, so you're having conversations. Are you having these conversations?
Yeah.
And are you having these conversations in the frequency that will make a difference in your people and make a difference in your organization's performance?
Yeah, I think that's the question. And if you don't know where to go with that, if you are looking for ways to get better at doing developmental or better at doing check-ins, we have a ton of resources. We probably have an episode that would be geared toward it, and we would be happy to share that with you. smash that like and subscribe button. Send us some emails. We always put our email addresses in the um, show notes. So we'd love to talk with you and help you in any way we can.
No doubt. We would love to hear from you. So somebody else that we'd love to hear from,
Ooh.
our announcer, Mr. Wolf, the silky smooth tones of his baritone. Love it. Take us away, Mr. Wolf.
And that's it. Join us next time when you'll hear Mike say, well, I'm sure he'll say something pithy. Don't miss it. Next time, it doesn't take a genius.
That's good enough.